Over Hanukkah, we spoke about what is a kosher menorah, which brought up the question for a lot of you, what does kosher actually mean? Which is a very fair question, especially because mostly when we speak about kosher, we're talking about food. But now I'm speaking about a kosher object, so kosher must mean something more, right? Correct. The simple answer is that kosher means that this thing, whether food or objects, followed the guidelines that the Torah draws in order for the Jews to keep it. So in terms of food, kosher doesn't just mean like this food is okay, this food isn't. It means that it follows the rules, like it doesn't mix milk and meat. If it is an animal byproduct, then that animal has to have chewed its cud and had split hooves. The craziest misconception to me is that kosher means that it's been blessed by a rabbi. That has never made sense to me, because then why aren't rabbis, all rabbis that have the blessing, I guess, why aren't they eating pigs? Because if that's the only thing, and everyone knows that pork isn't kosher or halal for that fact, I think, and so why aren't these rabbis just like blessing the pigs and like giving them out to their like synagogues or things? So I just find that funny. Now that we have the basics covered, I want to talk about things that have to be kosher. And actually, the OK, which is a certified kosher organization, they saw my kosher menorah video and they reached out and we had a whole big conversation. And so they helped me define things for you. Here are a list of items that should be kosher. We're gonna run through them quickly, but please let me know if you want this list easily accessible to you. I can do that really quickly, but let's talk about them. We're not going to go crazy in depth on all these things because I am just a girl. I am not a rabbi. I don't know all the things and I don't want to tell you wrong things, but the OK website definitely does have this information. Let's just run through it. Menorahs. Hopefully you already know. If you don't, it's my pinned video. Sukkah. A sukkah is a hut that we sit in over the holiday of Sukkot or Sukkot. We have schach, which is actually the branches that go over the sukkah. You need to be able to see stars through it, so you can, it's the ceiling, but we need to be mindful that we are under the sky. It's a whole thing. If you want to learn more about that, stay tuned for the holiday of Sukkot. Wink. Anyway, so a lulav and an esrog both go together. They are also for the holiday of Sukkot, and we shake them together, and it's palm branches and a citron, I think it actually is. There are tons of videos from other people. I don't think I made any yet, but again, stay tuned. Okay, next we have a mikvah. A mikvah is like the ritual bath. It's kind of like, think of holy water. It's like a bath full of holy water. We don't have the idea of holy water, but this is the closest that we get to it. And it's for men too, but mostly women, and they have to dunk themselves a period of time after they have their period. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it because it's very complicated, but let me know if you want to learn more about that. A mezuzah is a scroll that has the prayer of Shema, and it goes on everybody's doorposts, like all of the doorposts. I have one on my bedroom. The only place that we don't have is the bathroom, but we even have like on the garage, on our front doors. So if you want to know if it's a Jewish house all year round, check if they have a mezuzah on the right side of their wall, of their doorpost. A Torah scroll has to be kosher. It needs to, obviously, all the words need to be written in there correctly, and they're actually hand inscribed by someone called a sofer. And they're obviously like Sidurim are like our prayer books are printed, but the actual Torah scroll that is leaned from on the bima has to be written. So there can be a lot of things wrong with it, which means it does need to be kosher. And it's the same thing with tefillin. Tefillin is, if you've ever been to like any big city, there are the Chabad guys that are walking around. Have you put on tefillin today for the guys? And so it looks like a box and like a string, but inside the box is another little scroll that has prayers in it, and so that also has to be kosher, and so does the leather. It's, again, a whole thing. Tzitzis, we already spoke about tzitzis when I spoke about why is Jewish blue. So go check that video out if you want to learn more. A ketubah is the marriage document, and you sign it at the wedding, and it's very special. Look up ketubahs. They're normally absolutely gorgeous, and it basically says that this man and this woman are married and they can sleep in the same bed. That's basically what it is. Okay, very opposite. We got the get. The get is the document that a man gives a woman when they want to get divorced. That also needs to be kosher. Along that line, an aid or a witness. Aid means witness. It is someone who, by either a wedding or when giving a get, can say basically, yes, I was there, but they also need to be kosher in a way. I don't really know all the things about that, but they need to be kosher. So, yeah. This I actually didn't know. A shrita knife needs to be kosher. That's the knife that you use to an animal in order to eat it or in order for the animal to be kosher. You need to shecht the animal in order for it to be kosher because it's kind of the most humane way of killing the animal, and it's very quick. It claims to be painless, and so it's because we're a humane people. We don't want to hurt the poor guy, even though we're gonna eat him. Anyway, clothes. In this case, when I say clothes, we are not talking about laws of modesty, which is a whole separate thing that I would love to talk about because I do keep a good number of them. But we are talking about shatnez, which actually is the law of not mixing wool and linen. So in general, Jews can't wear an article of clothing that mixes wool and linen. And that is actually a mitzvah that we don't know the reason for. It is written in the Torah that we don't know the reason for it. That's one of the things that we just follow because it says so, which is not the most comfy feeling, but it's a thing. Okay, and last but not least, equipment or utensils used for food. I think this is referring to a toveling mikvah, which is your utensils have to be koshered before you eat with them. Like, I can't just go to the thrift store, take a fork, and then immediately go wash it and eat food with it. It needs to be dunked in boiling water and then also dunked in the mikvah. There are also more laws to that. Again, if you have questions on any of these things, feel free to ask and I'll either answer you in the comments or make a video about it. This video was much longer than I expected it to, so tell me if you want a part 2, which is foods that don't necessarily need to be kosher, because I think that that's really interesting. Tell me if you think that it's interesting too, and just ask me any questions. I'm always here.